What's up everybody? It's Tim here at Lowbrow Customs, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install WX tanks on a Softail frame using a new adapter kit that we have available. So a lot of you will recognize these gas tanks. We've been making them for quite some time. They were designed to fit 36 to 84 rigid frames and early 4-speed frames. They never fit Softail, so with an adapter kit we were able to make it mount in the exact same way without the tank being different. So if you already have a set of these tanks, if you purchase one of the adapter kits, you'll be able to bolt it right to your Softail. So there's no modifications to the gas tank, and there's just one small modification you'll have to do to your Softail frame to get that to fit. So I have it cut off of this frame, but there's a little tab on the backbone right after the rear portion of the gas tank mounts for where your stock tank would mount, and it used to hold on the dash. You can still see on the frame where it was cut off, and I left them on there visibly. I didn't grind them down flush in case I wanted to go backwards and put that tab back on. And since the gas tank covers that up, it really didn't bother me that you can still see part of the weld and where I cut it off. And I cut it off nice and I stashed it somewhere, so if I ever wanted to go back, I'll be able to keep that tab and just weld it right back on in exactly the same place. But you cut that off, and that's the only thing that you have to do if you want to make this modification. So in the kit, you'll find 3 anodized black aluminum parts that are machined out to kind of mimic exactly what a stock frame would have provided you as far as mounting locations. So we have 3 mounting locations. We've got one that's going to sit in the back on the backbone, one in the top in the front, also on the backbone, and then this is going to be the mount that's going to go in the front bottom right above the front cylinder. All the hardware is also provided to bolt these onto your frame. Okay, so there's a couple different bolts. You might have to separate these out. A couple of them are in specific locations. So first off, you'll see these are the easiest ones to pick out. These are 5/16 24, so fine thread, and you're going to be using these without washers, and they're going to go into the backbone of your frame, so they're going to fit with this bracket. These ones are very specific. They're the only 2 like that. So you could stack those up, set them aside. 2 of these have special washers because they sit very close to each other. So you'll see that 2 of the washers that you get are smaller outside diameter than the other ones, and you can slip those onto the 2 smallest 5/16 bolts, and then those will be mated with this mount, which is the one that sits in the front of the frame, just like that. And then since we have this mount in hand, we grab the longest bolt out of the series, the longest one in the series, washer on one side, washer on the other side, and then this is the only bolt that gets a nut. We've got the second longest bolt is going to be the one that holds this onto your frame in the front, no washer, and then we have 2 that hold on the gas tank on either side. And then the last bolt gets a washer, and that's going to go in the back side of the rear mount, which there's like a slot in the back side of the tanks that you're going to bolt this in with. But just wanted to show you exactly where all the different pieces of hardware go, because it could be a little confusing if you're not familiar with the kit. And now let's show you how easy it is to install this on your bike. So the first one we're going to start with is going to be the rear mount on the top of the backbone. Fine thread. We got 5/16 24. This is the only location for fine thread, so we're going to start with that just to eliminate the risk of mixing and matching bolts. Don't forget your blue Loctite. And we're going to leave this one loose because I'm going to bolt on a tank and bolt it in so it sets basically like the M-play, so the length, because this can move a little bit and there might be some variances in the tank or the frame, so we wanted to give you a little bit of wiggle room so these still bolted up exactly the same. So it can just slide on those mounts just a little bit, and you'll see in a second why this is important. So the top mount's basically the same way. It just bolts in up top, and you don't have to worry about getting this perfectly straight because we're also going to leave this a little loose so that when we bolt in the tanks, that's what's really going to center everything. And I'll show you after we get this tight. When you bolt in the tanks, you'll be able to tighten up everything except this one, which will already be tight. But you see how this has a little bit of play. You don't want to lock it down super tight, and don't have to worry about it getting it exactly straight on the frame. So now we have the lower front mount, and like I said, has the smaller diameter, outside diameter washers. The taper points down and mounts in these two holes on the stock tab. And you can see how close the head of the bolts are to each other. So these are the two bolts that you'll use the smaller diameter washers on, just because of how close they are to give clearance to the two washers, so they're not touching or able to, if you bolt it on quickly, to have one washer stacked on top of the other one. No matter what, these will never hit. So to bolt on the tanks, I find it easiest to start with the right side gas tank, because this tab actually sits first on this mount. The tabs stack up on top of each other. The right side to here, and then the left side goes over top of it. But since this is slotted and there might be a little bit of error, say when Harley made this back in the 80s to 90s, or where the tab location is, just a little bit of play will go a long way with being able to mount these up super nice for you. So we're gonna have to set where the mid mount, the rear mount on the backbone actually sits in the slots. And so we'll use the first tank to be able to set that with the tab that's actually gonna bolt to it first. So we're gonna bolt this on, and we kind of just get this into place. And I like to make sure that the tab's all the way over. So we get the top mount threaded in first, and this is just gonna basically hold the tank on there in place. When you get it close, and when you're holding all the mounts in place, and then you bolt this on kind of tight, there's nowhere for it to go, especially because that rear tab sits on the backbone, so it's not gonna be able to fall down and hit your motor. And then I'm gonna bolt it in down at the bottom. It might not totally be necessary, but it's nice to get it as close as possible to where it's going to land when both tanks are bolted up. So just throw a bolt in here, and then this will pull it in pretty close to where it's gonna go. And we don't need this to be super tight. This is just kind of getting it close to where this thing's gonna actually bolt up, so there's minimal play in there. I like to push this tab all the way over, so basically the back side of the tab is touching on the threads of that bolt, and which will make it easier for the stack up when you put the right side gas tank on. Put that on, and then we're going to tighten this to the mount, and as you can see, I got a little gap, but as I thread this in, you'll see that gap close up and it gets drawn to the tab. So now that's pulled the tab to the perfect spot, front and back, for those to mount up. And now I'm going to tighten these up and lock it down in that position. And then so it's exactly correct for the set of gas tanks that you have. And this is going to be locked down, so like before you saw, I used Loctite. And then now those are locked down, we're going to be able to actually take this bolt out and the lower mount, and we're going to install the left side gas tank into place. So one thing that's nice about this gas tank is, even though these split tanks are very narrow and the tunnel is still basically the same as a stock Softail gas tanks, so you're still able to fit everything that's original to the bike without having to relocate anything, like your turn signal module or anything wiring harness. I didn't cut up anything to make this fit, and it covers up everything and is hidden just like stock. So if you wanted to still run turn signals, you could easily do so, or if you want to just leave it in place and in case you wanted to go back, you don't have to cut or modify anything else to get these gas tanks to fit. Like I said, this tab goes on top of that one, but it's gonna all fit kind of tight, so you just don't wanna risk pushing this gas tank off when you slip that on top. So just be careful and just kind of wiggle it into place. And I'm also gonna kind of hold onto that one a little bit and get it close. And then up here, I'm going to fit the bolt in on the top mount. I'm gonna start with that, and that's gonna hold everything. while I finish bolting that into place. Gonna leave that kind of loose and just slide that other one into place. Fold that there and okay, leaving it kind of loose, and we got one more bolt to fit in, and then we're going to go around and just slowly snug things up, because as you can see right now, our line isn't super nice, and we're going to play with that to get this seam as parallel as we can on the bike. So I'm tightening these up, but I'm going to leave it just a hair of wiggle room so I can move these things around a little bit just to make that seam nice. So there we go. It's got, as you can see, it's got a little slippage. So now we're going to just play with getting the seam lined up, and the first place that you're going to tighten up is these two bolts because it has the least amount of play in there. So I would get those torqued up to each other, and we'll get that just tightened up on both sides. Because the only thing that that's really going to do is you just want to make sure that they're not like rocked back and forth, that they're both like at the same height, which is the only thing that that really controls. So we'll get those both tightened up, and then make sure that the mount looks straight, visually like perpendicular to your backbone. Because that's the only real adjustment that thing has. And then I've got that, I think that looks good. Since there's no adjustment at the top because you can't make these tanks closer or further apart at the top, what we want to do is match that distance at the bottom. And that's just, you just got to loosen up the backside just a little bit. And just kind of by hand pull those in or out. I think that looks okay. And then when you get the seam lined up to where you like it, you're going to snug that down, and just don't crank on it really hard. Try to do it slow because since there's a couple things bolting up all together, and if you just go too fast and don't pay attention, it could slip and make the gap close up. So just be mindful of that. Just kind of go kind of slow. You might have to put hands on it just to keep those things from sliding as you're twisting the head of the bolt. Torque those up, and then the only thing left to do is tighten up the bottom side mount. So we got the tanks back on, and I slapped the seat back on there just so you can see them kind of together and maybe give you a little bit of inspiration on the bike that you're going to be working on. But so that's it. We're currently just still in the mock-up phase, and this is just bare sheet metal, but we eventually are going to plan on painting this. And as always, I would recommend pressure testing your gas tank before you send it out to get painted. We have videos on that you'll be able to find on our YouTube channel. I hope you found this install video helpful, and if you like how this looks on a Softail, you'll be able to find these gas tanks, this adapter kit, and many, many more parts like it at lowbrowcustoms.com.